My name's Rich DeVizio, and I played Baraka in Mortal Kombat 2.
We were trying to come up with characters, and we were going to costume stores and looking around and found a mask of this monster.
There was this very tight mask that I had to wear.
Painted it up, kind of made it all butchered up his face.
And I just remember tons and tons of water just coming down my neck.
And we took fake nails and put them on for his teeth and spray painted them silver.
This mask was skin tight.
And those made up his teeth. And so people don't realize that, this really scary creature is made up of, a mask and some fake fingernails that were bought in a supermarket.
That shoot was unbelievable.
Baraka hasn't been in many Mortal Kombat games, but he's been a fan favorite for a long time.
Baraka wins.
Hello, my name is John Parrish. I am Jax!
Fatality.
Being the big guy, I was using raw strength and mental attitude. Be energetic, to be powerful, to actually portray myself as a hero, as I would look at it.
John Parrish was great to work with. He was really one of the easiest guys to work with in terms of being able to do all the moves and all of the special attacks.
I am the real Jax.
We worked with him throughout Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3, and he did a lot of promotional stuff with us. It was really great.
When he first put the makeup on my arms, it took him 6 hours to do total.
Outstanding.
Actually, it feels great to be part of the Mortal Kombat legacy.
Finish him. Fatality.
I guess not many people know that the Tanya character is named after my sister, who's named Tanya, and as well as my other sister's name is Sonia.
Tanya is the daughter of an Edenian ambassador, but she has sided with the bad guys in previous games. She turned on Liu Kang in her ending in Mortal Kombat 4, that she, sided with Shinnok, and she sided with the Deadly Alliance even at one point. Now she's siding with the Dragon King, not so much because she wanted to, but because she was almost forced into it. She's an enemy of Jade and Kitana and Sindel, because she's a traitor. She's a traitor to Edenia, she's a traitor to the realms, and she's, not a good person.
Tanya has always had her boomerang projectile move, which is one of the more outrageous projectile moves in the game. And we're giving her that boomerang move in Deception again. And in addition to that, she has a weapon. So she has a bigger arsenal of attacks than she did in the previous games.
Finish him.
There were actually 2 Goro models made, and one was used for the actual game and it was posed and, changed so much that it kind of fell apart over time. And I have one of the original Goro models that's stashed away at home.
Flawless victory.
Well, I think Katana was really one of the favorite characters from Mortal Kombat 2. She was a new character. She had ridiculous combos that people, came up with that I had not even thought of. And so when I saw people doing Katana combos, in the corner, you knew there was something special because people were taking the game in a direction that you didn't even think of. Well, Katana was similar to Mileena in that had a limited amount of memory than the Mortal Kombat 2 machine, and we wanted to get 12 characters out. So Katana and Mileena are really kind of the female version of Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Katana wins. Flawless victory.
Mileena was created because we needed to stretch the memory in our game again. We were out of memory. We had a cool female character in Katana, and we wanted to kind of double up on that and give her, special moves, make an anti-Katana in a sense. And so that's kind of where Mileena came from. And so then with Mileena, we had also introduced Baraka, so we wanted to make a tie with her because Baraka was a really bad character. So underneath the mask, Katana is really beautiful, and underneath Mileena's mask is, these really nasty teeth that were originally never on the costume, but we would just kind of draw them in on her fatalities.
Mileena wins.
My name is John Turk, and I am Sub-Zero.
The freeze move in the first Mortal Kombat really came about because I was always a big fan of kind of setting up the player for a free hit.
We walk over to the game, and they're playing Mortal Kombat 3, and the kid's playing Sub-Zero, and I'm standing right behind him, and he doesn't even realize that the guy he's playing is right behind him.
Let's get something straight. I am not a ninja. I am Lin Kuei. Scorpion was a ninja.
My martial arts style defined the character of Sub-Zero's based on the way I move, the way I kick, the way I punch, the way I turn, the way I move my leg when I do sweeps.
Shao Kahn was the big bad guy in Mortal Kombat.
Feel the power of Shao Kahn.
Well, Shao Kahn is kind of like the top of the ladder in terms of big bad guys in the Mortal Kombat series.
Prepare to die.
He was really the boss's boss in a sense, and he was basically the guy that everybody was ultimately trying to stop in terms of his invasion of Earth in Mortal Kombat 3. And he also had this charge move that would attack you with, and a lot of players didn't realize that all you had to do was duck underneath the charge move and then you got a free uppercut. Once they discovered that, he became a lot more manageable of a character to fight against, but until they discovered that, he seemed almost undefeatable.
Shao Kahn was killed in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, but nobody really ever dies in Mortal Kombat.
Jade was the third in the series of characters that was derived from existing images. Jade was a female ninja type character like Melina and Katana were, and she was kind of like an evil version of Katana in a sense.
Jade is a childhood friend of Katana, which probably makes her thousands of years old, because Katana is thousands of years old. The approach we've taken with Jade in this game, in Mortal Kombat Deception, is that she's more of the stealthy ninja type of character. She's the one that sneaks around and gets information, you know, and carries out covert activities. And I kind of like that about her. She's about getting things done, and she's very loyal.
We wanted to give her something that separated her from Katana Melina, so we gave her the staff weapon that was her weapon in Mortal Kombat 3. Not many characters had weapons in Mortal Kombat 3. That was really what we wanted to do to separate her from Katana Melina.
Cabal first made his appearance in MK3. He was originally designed as kind of this nomad, sand person kind of character.
Again, we really wanted to create a character that seemed to have a handicap of sorts in terms of, like, he had this breathing apparatus that kept him alive. He still had these incredible powers that none of the other characters had.
He had a lot of cool moves. He had this dash, which he would run past a character, spinning him around, and then he could pull off some combos on him.
And everybody kind of liked his tornado move where he would run by the opponent and then they would spin like a top and they kind of get a free hit on them. Cabal also had these hook sword weapons, that one of the few characters in the 2D games that actually had a weapon in the game. So that kind of made him stand out. He was actually one of the characters that was considered almost too powerful in Mortal Kombat 3. And we had to kind of tone him down for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3.
For Deception, we finally had the chance to bring Cabal back the way we originally intended him to be. You know, we gave him the long trench coat, gave him a backpack. That was part of the original design, but back in the old days of digitizing, we couldn't really handle that. A long coat would have gotten in the way of the character's moves.
In the 2D games, we were really limited to the costumes that we could build because it was digitized graphics. And with the 3D games, we build the costumes on the computer so we can really do whatever we want.
Cabal's always been one of my favorite characters, so I was totally happy to bring him back for Deception, give him the classic design that we intended.
My first impression of seeing myself in the game I was ecstatic because I knew it was me. I thought it was just awesome.
God of Thunder and Lightning, that just kind of became what his thing was. And I think that was really kind of what inspired a lot of his special moves, was the fact that he was a god.
In real life, I am a martial arts expert. I've been doing various arts for probably 22 plus years. You know, I'm wearing this hat. Got that on. Got that action working.
Yeah, the hat is gone. It was destroyed with one of the falls that Carlos took, and I don't think we've seen it ever since.
Do I have the hat? No, I wish I did. That's probably the one thing I wish I had. I feel really thankful to be part of the Mortal Kombat legacy, you know, and it's changed my life incredibly.
Sonya is a badass.
Carrie was easily one of the best people we've worked with in terms of actors playing the characters.
Yes, I still have the Sonya costume. Every once in a while, I'll bring it out.
I'll absolutely see Sonya again in future Mortal Kombat games.
I would love to play Sonya again.
Yeah, Scorpion's always been my favorite character, and he still is to this day.
Playing Scorpion's cool. I mean, you get to be kind of just a little bit crazy, a little bit nuts. You know, it's like you're a ninja. How cool is that? I played him in Sub-Zero mythologies. I did some motion capture for Scorpion, and I played him during some of our live events for Mortal Kombat.
I am Scorpion. You killed me in cold blood.
As a player, if I get a chance, I'll always pick Scorpion. His whole play style, it just kind of suits my style of gameplay. I'm proud to have been part of the Scorpion legacy throughout the years.
The spear move has always been one of my favorite moves in all the Mortal Kombat games, and I don't think we've ever been able to top it.
Get over here! Liu Kang.
The former champion of Mortal Kombat and member of the White Lotus Society, Liu Kang was murdered by Shang Tsung. He now exists as a living corpse, fueled by vengeance.
Fatality.
Liu Kang was Earthrealm's best hope at preventing Shao Kahn from taking over. After defending Earthrealm for many years against the forces of evil, Liu Kang was eventually killed by the Deadly Alliance, which was Quan Chi and Shang Tsung.
Liu Kang has always been the ultimate hero in Mortal Kombat. He's been kind of like the common man character throughout the whole series.
We don't give him the crazy violent moves. He's a Shaolin monk. You know, we really wanted to make him the character that was the hero of the game. So we did that for a number of titles, and finally we really wanted to kind of change things up.
At this point, Liu Kang exists in two forms. He's an undead corpse, and he's also his spirit self.
You know, Liu Kang was designed to be the most accessible Mortal Kombat character. You know, his moves are the simplest to perform. Towards, high punch, towards, high kick. So he had these really cool flying kicks and fireballs, and anybody can perform them because the combination was so easy to do. And so our idea with Liu Kang was always to make that the most accessible character that, you know, you can basically show your mom how to play Mortal Kombat using Liu Kang.
Finish him! Fatality.
For Deception, our goal was to really say, let's bring back the nostalgic characters, and obviously Sindel, Nightwolf, Baraka, Melina, all of those are in that category, and so we had to bring them back.
Fight!
The wig that we had in Mortal Kombat 3 for Sindel didn't have that much hair. We did a lot of After Effects touch-ups. She had this ability to scream at super loud volumes, and that would stun the opponent and give you kind of a free hit.
Sindel wins.
Smoke originally came from our memory limitations that we've had in doing arcade games, and just as Scorpion and Sub-Zero were using this same images and getting more mileage out of them by changing the color, when we were out of memory for Mortal Kombat 2, I always liked putting in the secret characters in the game at the last minute that nobody knows about. That was kind of like the origin of Smoke and Jade. They were, you know, just kind of like the alternate colored versions of Sub-Zero and Melina and Katana.
He had a lot of cool moves as a robot. He had this grappling hook that would come out of his chest, and just had a lot of cool moves, which made him a player favorite. We brought Smoke back for Deception just because people have been asking about him for a while now. It was funny because a lot of fans like the ninja version, a lot of fans like the robot version, so we thought it would be a good idea to bring back both.
Every one of our characters in Deception has kind of two costumes, and so for Smoke, we decided we're going to have him be a normal ninja, like people had seen him before in Mortal Kombat 2, and then also his Mortal Kombat 3 persona, which is kind of like the cybernetic ninja. Players can pick which one they want to play as.
A leader of the Red Dragon clan, Movado has undertaken a ruthless campaign of extermination against his rivals. the Black Dragon. Scouring the realms for his sworn enemies, Movado vows that he will not rest until every last trace of the Black Dragon has been erased.
Movado is from Earthrealm. He's a high-ranking member of the Red Dragon clan. His main objective has been to eradicate any members of the Black Dragon clan.
Movado originally started out as more of a matador kind of character, which didn't fit into the Mortal Kombat look at all.
Movado was another character who started out looking completely different than he ended up looking in the final version of Deadly Alliance. At one point, we just weren't happy with the direction that we're going, so we decided to go a lot more towards a darker black trench coat type of look. My favorite move from Movado is probably his throw move, more like the opposite of Scorpion's spear, where he had these ropes that he could stick to the ground, propel himself forward and back, put his two ropes into the ground and use the rubber band action from that to kick the opponent away. That was one of the cool moves in the game.
Fatality.
The Spanish word for drunk is borracho, and figured that word kind of broke itself up nicely into three Asian-sounding kind of syllables. So bo-rai-cho equals borracho, and hopefully some of you guys got that.
He's one of my favorite characters. I know a lot of people think he's kind of silly with his drunken moves, but he's actually one of the most powerful characters in the game.
He's actually one of our comic relief characters, you know, Johnny Cage, and Boraicho's kind of the next one there.
Just the idea of this guy who just looks out of control, like he's just trashed, but he's a great fighter and he incorporates that into his fighting. Very deceiving as far as his opponents go.
Boraicho is the mentor of Shujinku, and so he has a very prominent role in Deception. He was originally introduced in Deadly Alliance, and he was a fun character because he had this sort of jolly demeanor. He likes to drink, he likes to do his martial arts, and he likes to teach.
He's a very likable character to me, and I kind of like the idea that, you know, Mortal Kombat now has a teacher. You know, most martial arts movies, there's always that, you know, old guy that the young guy learns from, and Boraicho kind of fills that role for Mortal Kombat.
Ed had wanted to have a character that is basically this slob. Like he pukes, he farts, he just, you know, has no sense of self-control.
And the sound that Dan Forden came up with was so funny that we just had to get it into the game.
Yeah, you know, that's one of the things that we put in the game that, you know, we thought that the humor would wear out, but apparently every time somebody on the team listens to it or hears that sound, it manages to get a giggle out of them.
Oh, that's a stinky one.
I believe Kenshi's name in Japanese means sword saint. His storyline from his past is that he used to travel Japan and challenge experienced swordsmen and warriors just to defeat them so he could become the best in Japan. Eventually he lets his ego get the best of him, and so Shang Tsung gets him to open up this tomb of Kenchi's ancestors, which blinds Kenchi. Shang Tsung then absorbs these warrior souls and becomes stronger, and he leaves Kenchi for dead. Kenchi then realizes what has just happened, and now he's got a vendetta against Shang Tsung. His sword that he finds there in the tomb is actually his ancestor's sword.
Fight!
You would assume he's disabled because he doesn't have certain abilities, but then we compensated it by giving him other abilities, and that kind of makes him that much more interesting of a character. So he's one of the strongest characters in Deadly Alliance, and you wouldn't think so, having a character being blind. Kenchi basically has the ability to propel his opponents in various directions. Lift them up over his head and slam them on the ground, propel them behind him, push them forward. So it's really like he's a very powerful distance player where you have the ability to attack your opponent even when you're at great distances.
A student of Lin Kuei Grandmaster Sub-Zero, Frost is a formidable young warrior. Her powers of cryomancy are extremely advanced for one so young, headstrong and driven. Her abilities are eclipsed only by her overconfidence.
Frost is very similar to Sub-Zero in that she has freezing powers. Her initial storyline is that she was trying to join the Lin Kuei, which was just reforming under the leadership of Sub-Zero. So she joins the clan, and Sub-Zero is so impressed with her fighting abilities and a little curious about the fact that she has powers over cold. He sort of takes her under his wing, takes her with to Outworld to fight the Deadly Alliance.
Fatality.
Frost is kind of the female Sub-Zero, if you want to think of it. Ever since we had the first Sub-Zero, we had always talked about having a female version of Sub-Zero. And for some reason we didn't do it in Mortal Kombat 2, 3, and 4. And for Deadly Alliance, we knew that we wanted to have a female freezing kind of character like Sub-Zero is, but give her her own story.
Frost was one of the first characters we actually designed for Deadly Alliance. Eventually became one of the players' favorites.
I remember when the public initially got wind of Frost being a female Sub-Zero, the backlash that we got for that. There were fans that were very upset that we were doing a female Sub-Zero. And I remember one letter we got where some fan said, "Mortal Kombat will be destroyed if you do this." In fact, I think Frost is one of the best characters we have. I like her a lot. I think she's pretty cool.
The design of the Frost costume was done by Herman Sanchez, and he came up with this really great kind of frozen spiked hair for her with, mist coming out of it, and that really became one of her more kind of signature visual traits that she's had in the game. And I've always thought that that was one of the more innovative design features we had in Deadly Alliance. My favorite Frost fighting move is her ground freezing projectile, where she basically shoots a beam of ice at her opponent along the ground. We've never had one that was tracking the player along the floor. She has another slide move as well, but I think the ground freeze is easily my favorite move.